10. Things you should never do for a woman. Many individuals unknowingly undermine their own value in relationships, often operating under a fundamental misunderstanding of attraction and connection. It's a profound truth that is rarely articulated. An individual's magnetism often diminishes, not because they were too distant, too emotionally unavailable, or too reserved, but precisely because they offered access to their deepest self, their trust, their forgiveness, and their vision for the future, without any preceding investment from the other person. This act of boundless giving, this offering of one's core essence without the other having genuinely earned it through reciprocal effort and consistent commitment, creates an inherent imbalance. The dynamic shifts, and this disequilibrium is often sensed by the other person long before the giver recognizes it themselves. Indeed, genuine interest rarely wanes arbitrarily. It fades when one realizes that the other person is more profoundly invested in them than they are in their own well-being, growth, and personal trajectory. If one has ever experienced the bewildering shift in a relationship, the sudden emotional distance, the gradual erosion of affection, or the perplexing decline in respect, it stems from a common origin: the unwitting transgression of unseen boundaries, the crossing of lines that, while unspoken, are nonetheless critical to maintaining a healthy dynamic. Understanding and respecting these inherent structures is paramount to preserving one's dignity and fostering enduring, respectful connections. The following principles are not merely a list of prohibitions. They form a crucial framework for safeguarding one's intrinsic value, cultivating strong relationships, and preventing self-sabotage. This wisdom, honed from observing countless individuals navigate the complexities of interpersonal dynamics, provides a clear roadmap for cultivating integrity and respect in all interactions. 1. Never forgive cheating. Twice. A profound breach of trust, such as infidelity, is seldom an accidental stumble. It is, almost without exception, a deliberate choice, a conscious decision to disregard the foundational principles of a committed partnership. This is a stark reality that one must confront with unwavering clarity. When an individual crosses such a sacred line, it's not due to confusion or an inadvertent misstep. It is a decisive act. The impulse to immediately forgive, driven by a desperate hope to salvage the connection, inadvertently communicates a devastating message. It signals with chilling clarity that one's boundaries are flexible, permeable, and ultimately negotiable, and that one's self-respect is a matter of option, not an unassailable pillar of identity. Many often fail to grasp this critical insight. Others evaluate your worth not by your compliments, your affection, or your willingness to compromise, but fundamentally by your unwavering standards. When one demonstrates a willingness to accept and overlook infidelity, the other person, often subconsciously, recalibrates their perception of that individual's value. While they might express profound remorse, swear absolute loyalty, or even shed tears of apparent contrition, such emotional displays do not erase the internal reevaluation that has occurred. They now possess the unsettling knowledge that they can manipulate emotional levers, and the individual will, likely, bend to their will. The damage extends beyond the act of betrayal itself. It's the profound implication of choosing to remain in a dynamic where such a violation has been tolerated twice. People are not drawn to those who render themselves disposable or whose dignity is easily compromised. They are instinctively drawn to individuals who protect their personal integrity with steadfast resolve. To forgive repeated betrayal is not an act of profound love. It is an act of profound self-abandonment. To rebuild one's life with strength and purpose, one must draw an immovable line. Communicate with calm, unshakable certainty what is tolerable and what constitutes an immediate and irreconcilable end to the relationship. This is not expressed through anger or shouting, but through quiet, final resolve. An individual who enforces boundaries without drama or emotional theatrics is an individual who retains their personal power and self-respect. It's a truth that cannot be negotiated away. Others inherently respect those with firm limits far more than those who seek to earn affection by absorbing disrespect. This consistency in upholding one's standards is a fundamental aspect of self-mastery and wise time management, preventing the protracted emotional drain of a broken trust. 2. Never ask for permission to live your life. There exists a crucial distinction between transparently sharing one's plans with a partner and seeking their explicit permission to pursue one's own life and ambitions. Far too many individuals blur this essential line, and the moment it dissolves, the entire relational dynamic undergoes a fundamental shift. When one tacitly appoints another as the ultimate authority over their decisions, they unconsciously place themselves in a subordinate position. A partnership, by its very definition, implies collaboration and mutual respect, not a hierarchical structure where one resides at the bottom. Individuals rarely lose respect for a partner simply because they communicate their intentions clearly. They lose respect when a partner cedes their fundamental agency, when one hesitates, waiting for approval before embarking on a journey, accepting a career opportunity, attending a significant event, or even committing to a straightforward social engagement. The partner does not perceive a considerate and thoughtful companion. Instead, they see someone who requires oversight, someone whose life needs to be managed. Once this perception takes root, it permeates every facet of the relationship, influencing how decisions are made, how time is allocated, and how individual autonomy is expressed. Consider the subtle yet powerful signals sent when one allows another to answer on their behalf in public. When a direct question is posed, and one instinctively glances at their partner, who then steps in and speaks for them, it communicates a profound message. It implies a lack of self-direction, a forgotten voice. This singular moment can be enough to redefine one's role, shifting from that of a leader or an equal partner to someone who consistently follows. And a follower, by definition, rarely possesses the intrinsic emotional gravity that others instinctively seek in a partner. A partner should be kept informed out of mutual respect and transparency, not treated as a supervisor whose consultation is required for every personal initiative. The process involves making a well-considered decision, then communicating it, not for approval, but to maintain openness and shared understanding. This demonstrates unwavering steadiness and confidence, qualities that resonate deeply from another's perspective. It embodies direction, self-assurance, and the vital capacity to act without the debilitating wait for permission. When an individual stands firmly in their choices, they become a grounding force, someone beside whom a partner can genuinely relax. When this steadfastness is absent, a vacuum is created, which the partner inevitably feels compelled to fill. Once one implicitly abdicates the role of decision-maker, it should come as no surprise when they are subsequently treated as someone who requires constant direction. This crucial aspect of self-governance ties directly into effective time management, as indecision and seeking approval inherently waste precious time that could be dedicated to personal growth and skill acquisition. Consistently asserting one's agency is a skill that strengthens both individual identity and relational health. 3. Never go broke for validation. It is a common and often regrettable pattern that many individuals have, at some point, fallen into the pursuit of validation through excessive financial expenditure, lavishing resources to impress someone who sought only superficial display rather than genuine depth of character. The underlying truth is stark and undeniably simple. When money becomes the primary tool for attracting attention or securing affection, one inadvertently trains the other to value the performance, the material grandiosity, rather than the authentic individual behind it. This is a perilous path that leads to a profound loss of self, a silent bleeding out, simultaneously financially and emotionally. Individuals often throw considerable sums at extravagant dates, lavish trips, expensive gifts, and flashy, memorable moments, mistakenly believing that genuine effort is quantifiable by its price tag. They mistakenly equate generosity with loyalty. However, others do not respond to such excess in the way one might imagine. What truly attracts and sustains interest is stability, not spectacle. Quiet confidence, not conspicuous overspending. Clear direction, not debilitating debt. When a partner observes one stretching beyond their financial means, borrowing recklessly, swiping credit cards aggressively, or maintaining a lifestyle far exceeding their actual financial reality, they do not admire the perceived sacrifice. Instead, they fundamentally question one's judgment and foresight. A profound query arises. How can this individual effectively lead a future when they demonstrate an inability to manage themselves and their resources in the present? Once this seed of doubt is planted, it germinates and grows with alarming rapidity. Crucially, overspending creates an insidious trap. The other person begins to associate one's presence with a constant flow of material giving and extravagant experiences. One transforms into the perpetual source of fleeting pleasures, rather than a steadfast source of strength, stability, and character. The moment one can no longer sustain this unsustainable pace, the dynamic inevitably shifts. The initial excitement dissipates, the pressure mounts exponentially, and the stark realization dawns. One has inadvertently trained the other to perceive them as a mere provider, someone whose presence and contributions were never truly earned or valued for their intrinsic worth. An individual committed to their long-term well-being protects their finances with the same rigorous discipline they apply to their time and their personal boundaries. Investment must begin with oneself, fortifying one's financial stability, advancing one's education, fostering personal growth, and establishing an unshakable foundation. When one truly respects another, they respect the fundamental structure and integrity of that person's life, including their financial prudence. If respect is solely contingent upon the contents of one's wallet, then interest will always be just one missed paycheck away from disappearing. Here lies an uncomfortable truth many avoid. If significant expenditure is required merely to be noticed, then one was never genuinely chosen for who they are. They were, in essence, purchased. And purchases, by their very nature, are temporary and easily discarded. Developing financial literacy and disciplined spending habits are critical life skills that ensure long-term stability and reflect consistency in self-management. This also speaks to astute time management, as financial insecurity can consume vast amounts of mental and emotional energy. 4. Never allow her to micromanage your life. The insidious infiltration of control into a relationship seldom occurs abruptly or in an overtly aggressive manner. Instead, it typically manifests in small, almost imperceptible increments, requests that appear entirely reasonable, check-ins that are framed as caring concern, and minor demands subtly disguised as genuine attentiveness. Before one fully grasps the evolving dynamic, they may discover they are no longer in an equitable partnership, but rather ensnared within a covert system of surveillance to which they unwittingly agreed. When micromanagement begins to take hold, it frequently stems from one of two primary sources: deep-seated insecurity on the part of the micromanaging individual, or an instinctive impulse to assume command when they perceive a leadership vacuum within the relationship. If one complies, if they permit their whereabouts to be constantly monitored, their schedule policed with undue scrutiny, every purchase questioned, or their personal messages scrolled through as if by a supervisor auditing an employee, they are actively reinforcing the very dynamic that will inexorably erode attraction over time. This is a critical point that is often overlooked. The more one is managed, the less they can be admired. The more one is tracked, the less genuine trust is able to flourish. And the more one's personal world is controlled, the less respect is fostered for the individual inhabiting that world. People are not drawn to those they feel compelled to manage. They are drawn to individuals upon whom they can genuinely lean for support and direction. The true danger of micromanagement lies in its subtle yet profound reshaping of one's identity. One begins to lose initiative, to hesitate before making autonomous decisions, and to self-police their own actions in a preemptive effort to avoid conflict or scrutiny. One starts to operate as an individual constantly anticipating negative consequences, rather than as a confident individual directing their own life with purpose. This fundamental shift in self-perception and behavior is far more destructive to attraction than any open argument could ever be. A truly strong individual does not respond to micromanagement with anger or resentment. Instead, they respond with unwavering clarity. They calmly and decisively establish limits on what is acceptable behavior and what constitutes a transgression. They define, with clear articulation, what privacy means within the relationship, what transparency entails, and what genuine mutual respect looks like in practice. And they communicate these boundaries calmly, without apology or defensiveness, because fundamentally, no one truly desires a partner they can control with absolute ease. What is desired is a partner who possesses a clear sense of direction, an individual who knows where they are headed, with or without external approval. This requires a consistent demonstration of self-leadership, a vital skill in both relationships and life, and intelligent time management, ensuring that personal autonomy is not squandered. Pi. Never lie to make her feel better. The human capacity to discern sincerity from superficial flattery is remarkably acute, much like sensing the difference between genuine respect and mere tolerance. The moment one begins to sugarcoat reality, to soften inconvenient truths, they might believe they are safeguarding another's feelings. However, the far more profound and insidious consequence is the gradual dismantling of trust, one gentle fabrication at a time. Once the bedrock of trust erodes, no words, however well-intentioned, can ever carry their true weight again. Individuals often resort to lying out of fear of conflict, fear of causing pain, or fear of disrupting the delicate harmony of a relationship. Yet, it's not the uncomfortable truth that diminishes respect. It is the perceived weakness and cowardice in being too afraid to utter it. When one offers a compliment for something they genuinely do not believe in, or deliberately avoids addressing habits that are demonstrably detrimental to the relationship, the message received is not one of kindness. It is a message of weakness, of a lack of resolve. People are highly attuned to emotional inconsistencies. If an outfit is unflattering and one declares it looks good, the insincerity is often intuitively perceived. If unhealthy patterns of behavior are emerging and one pretends not to notice, the pretense is often recognized. If one consistently nods along simply to avoid friction, the underlying motive is understood. And once it becomes evident that one is willing to distort reality in order to maintain a superficial peace, the reliance on their words and by extension their judgment ceases altogether. Honesty does not necessitate brutality. It demands backbone, courage, and a calm, steady resolve. It means being able to deliver an unvarnished truth without resorting to irritation or anger. It means clearly articulating that a particular dynamic or behavior is not working without raising one's voice or resorting to aggression. It requires the capacity to identify and address patterns that are harmful to both individuals, be it a lack of discipline, repeated disrespect, or unhealthy habits, and to do so from a place of clarity and genuine concern rather than cruelty. An individual who consistently speaks the truth becomes a grounding force, a beacon of reality in a partner's life. Conversely, an individual who habitually hides behind lies becomes a source of static, a noise that is eventually tuned out. While the truth may not always be palatable in the immediate moment, people are instinctively drawn to and anchor themselves to those who consistently stand upon it. In the final analysis, genuine strength is not about projecting an image of invincibility. It is about an unwavering refusal to compromise reality for the sake of temporary comfort or to assuage another's discomfort. And ultimately, genuine respect is reserved for the individual who cannot be easily fooled or swayed from their convictions. This consistency in truthful communication builds trust, a critical skill for healthy relationships, and prevents time wasted on evasive tactics. 6. Never normalize girls' nights out without boundaries. While it is undeniably healthy for individuals in a relationship to maintain their own vibrant social lives and cherished friendships, and while independence itself is a deeply attractive quality, there is a crucial line that, when crossed, sets one up for entirely avoidable disrespect. This occurs when one naively pretends that every social environment is inherently harmless, failing to recognize that human behavior is profoundly shaped by the collective energy and prevailing ethos of the group one chooses to enter. Nothing alters an individual's mindset more rapidly or powerfully than being consistently immersed in a social circle that operates under the implicit belief that they are accountable to no one. When an individual regularly spends time with friends who are single, who actively seek out attention from others, or who prioritize uninhibited experiences, they are stepping into an atmosphere often predicated on impulsivity, external validation, and performative displays. Many underestimate the formidable power of group psychology. Even an individual who is typically grounded and responsible can find themselves inexorably swept into the rhythm of a crowd that thrives on being seen and celebrated. Without clearly articulated and mutually respected boundaries, this external environment will, over time, inevitably bleed into and erode the core fabric of the relationship. This is not about policing a partner's every move or stifling their freedom. It is about a fundamental understanding that every chosen space exerts an influence on behavior and values. When these social outings become frequent, unstructured, or predominantly involve individuals who demonstrate a casual disregard for the sanctity of committed relationships, a subtle yet significant shift occurs. The individual may gradually become less accountable, less considerate, and less anchored to the values of the partnership. And if one remains silent, paralyzed by the fear of appearing controlling or insecure, they are effectively allowing the relational dynamic to unravel quietly, all while maintaining the pretense that everything is perfectly normal. The effective solution is not to forbid a partner from living their life, but to establish and consistently uphold a framework of mutual respect. This involves articulating with clarity and composure what behaviors and environments align with the health and integrity of the relationship and what actions fundamentally do not. It means openly communicating the crucial difference between healthy independence and reckless immersion in environments that undermine shared values. It entails explaining that true commitment demands that both individuals actively protect the relationship, not merely within the confines of their shared home, but equally in the social spaces they consciously choose to inhabit. An individual who lacks standards invites chaos into their life. An individual with clear standards invites clarity, stability, and mutual understanding. When one defines what is acceptable and their partner respects those definitions, the relationship invariably strengthens. If, however, a partner consistently resists any form of boundary, it suggests that what they truly desire is not an equitable partnership, but rather unbridled freedom without the corresponding responsibility. And when one fails to establish that essential standard, the crowd a partner surrounds themselves with will, with unsettling eagerness, gladly define it for them. This requires consistent communication and the skill to articulate values clearly, ensuring time and energy are not wasted on misaligned expectations. 7. Never choose her over your purpose. Few things devastate an individual faster or more profoundly than abandoning the very core of what defines them, their purpose, their ambitions, their personal mission. Yet countless individuals fall into this trap the moment they become deeply entangled in a romantic relationship. They begin to systematically shrink their ambitions, indefinitely postpone their goals, and completely reorient their entire future trajectory around a partner who, ironically, never requested such a sacrifice and who, even if implicitly offered, would not genuinely respect it in the long run. The truth is that while a partner might enjoy being prioritized in the immediate moment, their attraction will inevitably diminish the instant they perceive that they now outrank one's fundamental life direction and personal mission. An individual who forfeits their purpose becomes emotionally dependent, softer in resolve, more needy, and altogether easier to sway. They begin to live reactively, constantly responding to another's mood, their schedule, their fluctuating desires, while their own unique identity and aspirations recede further and further into the background. While partners may not consciously intend to punish such a sacrifice, attraction is not governed by logic or conscious intention. When one senses that their partner has ceased striving, has abandoned their drive, they instinctively and subconsciously question that individual's long-term value and viability. Purpose serves as the foundational backbone of one's identity. It is the solid structure upon which a partner can genuinely lean for strength and stability. When one sacrifices their overarching goals for the sake of a relationship, they send a clear and unmistakable signal. I can be easily pulled off course by emotion. This makes one appear unreliable and untrustworthy in the deepest sense rather than romantic. While the increased attention might be initially appealing, eventually the hollowness beneath it will become acutely apparent. The lack of inner fire, the loss of ambition, the absence of challenge, these voids will be noticed. And instead of feeling cherished or prioritized, the partner will begin to feel a heavy burden of responsibility for the vacuum that has been inadvertently created. One does not become irreplaceable by merely orbiting another person. One becomes irreplaceable by diligently building a life that is so compelling, so admirable, that another person actively desires to join it, not to control or subsume it. When one chooses their path and purpose over temporary comfort or immediate gratification, they elevate themselves. They transform into a force that commands respect precisely because they steadfastly refuse to betray their own inherent potential. One's purpose is not a competitor to the relationship. It is the fundamental foundation that makes one worth following, worth investing in. The moment one sacrifices it to keep a partner close, they paradoxically guarantee that partner will, in time, drift away. People do not fall in love with those who disappear into them. They fall in love with those who remain deeply rooted in something larger and more profound than the relationship itself. This steadfastness in pursuing purpose showcases exceptional time management, consistency, and the skill of goal setting. C8. Never cancel important commitments for her. A partner will often subtly test the gravitas of one's word and the strength of their integrity long before they truly gauge the depth of their feelings. And nothing exposes an individual's weakness faster or more glaringly than the act of abandoning their pre-existing responsibilities simply because a partner needs them right now. This is not about genuine emergencies or unforeseen crises, which are entirely different scenarios and require compassion and flexibility. This refers specifically to the casual cancellation of established plans, professional meetings, important projects, or obligations to others, merely because a partner is momentarily upset, bored, or craving immediate attention. The moment one accedes to such demands, they unwittingly communicate a singular, powerful message. My life, my commitments, and my word are easily pliable. They can bend effortlessly to accommodate your transient emotional states. People keenly observe how one treats their commitments. They note how meticulously one honors their schedule, how diligently they follow through on promises, and how reliably they show up precisely when they say they will. These traits are critical indicators of reliability, stability, and genuine leadership capacity. However, when one drops everything instantly, whenever a partner expresses even minor discomfort or a whim, it is rarely interpreted as profound devotion. Instead, it is perceived as a profound lack of personal structure, a deficit of discipline, and a glaring absence of backbone. Once a partner senses that one is willing to abandon their own world and responsibilities to stabilize their emotions, they unconsciously and often unintentionally assign one a new and demeaning role, that of an emotional concierge. One becomes the person whose primary function is to constantly rearrange their identity and priorities to keep another's emotional landscape regulated. This is not the essence of love. It is the slow, agonizing process of self-erasure. The long-term emotional and psychological cost of this pattern is far heavier than one might initially imagine. One will invariably begin to resent the partner for the sacrifices that, ironically, were never truly requested. Simultaneously, the partner will begin to resent the weakness that they never intended to cultivate, yet found themselves implicitly encouraging. The relationship then devolves into a destructive pattern of relentless overgiving from one side and chronic undervaluing from the other, until both individuals eventually fail to recognize the strong, autonomous person one once was. A truly strong individual does not abandon their commitments. Instead, they meticulously organize them, clearly communicate them, and rigorously honor them. They intentionally make ample room for their relationship within their life, but they steadfastly refuse to allow it to entirely supplant or override their fundamental responsibilities. The world, both personal and professional, will only take an individual seriously if that individual first takes themselves seriously and consistently honors their word. If one's word carries little weight with others, it will inevitably carry even less weight with their partner, and an individual who consistently fails to hold their ground will, over time, inevitably lose the very ground upon which they stand. This emphasizes superior time management, consistency in integrity, and the skill of disciplined self-organization. 9. Never pretend to like her passions. One of the quickest and most subtle ways an individual loses their unique identity within a relationship is by forcing themselves to adopt and enjoy everything their partner enjoys. On the surface, this might appear to be a supportive and endearing gesture. However, beneath this veneer, it transmits a profound message that gradually erodes attraction. I am willing to abandon my own individuality and unique preferences simply to remain closely connected to you. And no one truly desires a partner who dissolves into their life in such a manner, becoming a mere extension rather than a distinct entity. An individual's passions, interests, hobbies, creative outlets, and personal pursuits are integral to their human experience. They are what ignite their spirit and define their essence. But these passions are inherently theirs, not one's own. When one attempts to feign love for what their partner loves, be it their specific hobbies, their preferred style of entertainment, their artistic world, or their particular social circles, one does not become more compatible. Instead, one becomes less defined, less distinct. One ceases to be the unique individual who initially drew the other's interest and, instead, transforms into a reflective mirror, merely echoing back their own identity. Initially, a partner may not consciously reject this behavior. They might even perceive it as sweet or flattering. However, subconsciously, a significant shift invariably occurs. An individual devoid of their own distinct passions feels an inherent emptiness. They become predictable, excessively available, and unduly dependent on external validation. The crucial polarity that is vital for attraction, the dynamic and compelling contrast between their world and one's own, diminishes. And it is precisely on this contrast that attraction thrives. One's own passions are not incidental, they are fundamental. They serve as a constant reminder that one possesses a vibrant life beyond the relationship, that they have a clear direction, and that their identity is anchored in something deeper and more substantial than just the partnership itself. An individual who conscientiously protects their interests, diligently pursues their own hobbies, and actively engages in their own world becomes someone worthy of admiration, someone who sparks curiosity, someone to genuinely look up to. Supporting a partner's passions does not equate to adopting them as one's own. Encouragement is a healthy and vital component of a supportive relationship. Imitation, however, is not. One can stand steadfastly beside a partner, offering unwavering encouragement without ever stepping into their shadow. One can be deeply supportive without morphing into an indistinguishable extension of their personality. A partner does not desire a duplicate of themselves. What they truly desire is a distinct individual who brings a rich, compelling world that they can choose to walk into and explore, not an individual who abandons their own world entirely to merely inhabit theirs. This consistency in maintaining one's identity requires self-awareness and intentional time management for personal enrichment, a key skill for a well-rounded life. Can. Never sign anything if you're not sure you're the father. Among the myriad decisions one navigates in life, some carry consequences from which recovery is possible, while others, with a single stroke of a pen, irrevocably alter the course of an entire existence. The decision regarding paternity falls squarely into the latter category. Far too many individuals under intense emotional duress sign critical legal documents without absolute certainty. This pressure can manifest in various forms: a partner's tears, the implicit scrutiny of family members, the tense atmosphere of a hospital room, or the pervasive fear of appearing heartless or uncaring if they refuse. However, enduring the discomfort of being perceived as heartless for a fleeting 5 minutes pales in comparison to the profound psychological and financial burden of living a lie for 18 years or more. When even the faintest shadow of uncertainty exists, it is imperative that it be respected, thoroughly investigated, and definitively resolved. Doubt, in this context, is not a mark of disrespect or mistrust. It is an act of fundamental due diligence, a necessary safeguard. Yet, societal conditioning often instills the belief that requesting clarity in such sensitive matters is insensitive, cruel, or indicative of a lack of trust. This pervasive conditioning can subtly compel individuals into choices rooted in guilt and emotional manipulation, rather than grounded in objective reality. Partners, whether intentionally or unintentionally, can leverage this powerful emotional pressure during moments of extreme vulnerability. The psychological and practical costs of signing prematurely are brutal and far-reaching. One assumes profound responsibility for a child who may not be biologically theirs, incurring immense financial, emotional, and legal burdens that will shape their entire future. And if the truth, in its relentless way, surfaces later, the legal and social systems are rarely structured to retroactively undo emotionally driven decisions made under pressure. Instead, they are designed to enforce those agreements. This principle is not an attack on anyone's character. It is a vital act of self-preservation and protecting one's life. A truly responsible individual verifies. They do not act impulsively or sign legal documents until the truth is unequivocally established, not merely suggested or presumed. They steadfastly refuse to allow the fear of judgment or social disapproval to override the fundamental need for certainty in matters of such profound consequence. An individual who wisely safeguards themselves from irreversible responsibility is not paranoid. They are grounded, prudent, and deeply aware of life's significant stakes. They understand that genuine commitment requires absolute clarity, that fatherhood demands irrefutable truth, and that a signature affixed without certainty is not an act of love. It is instead an act of self-sacrifice at the ruinous expense of one's future. Before making a lifelong promise of this magnitude, one must ensure that the life in question is, with absolute certainty, truly connected to their own. Because responsibility of this scale is sacred, and sacred things demand irrefutable proof. This exemplifies critical thinking, standing firm against pressure, and managing long-term consequences, all crucial skills that prevent immeasurable time and resources from being misallocated. There is a pattern that every individual eventually comes to understand. You do not lose your personal power because another person actively takes it from you. You relinquish it, piece by piece, the moment you begin to abandon the very parts of yourself that comprised your strength and integrity in the first place. Every single principle outlined here points back to that same fundamental root cause: self-betrayal, often tragically disguised as love or unwavering devotion. When one overlooks profound betrayal, consistently avoids necessary confrontation, overspends extravagantly merely to be liked, surrenders their clear life direction, or perpetually compromises on essential responsibilities, they are not genuinely choosing the health of the relationship. Instead, they are choosing to disappear, to diminish themselves within it. And no one can genuinely respect an individual who chooses to disappear in this manner. This is not born of cruelty, but because true respect is fundamentally built upon robust structure, clearly defined boundaries, and an unwavering sense of individual identity. When these foundational pillars collapse, attraction invariably collapses alongside them. What has been presented in these 10 essential lessons is not a restrictive list of prohibitions. Rather, it is an empowering framework, a foundational blueprint for how an individual can steadfastly protect their mental clarity, their inherent integrity, and the trajectory of their future. It serves as a potent reminder that every decision made, every standard enforced, and every boundary upheld profoundly shapes how the entire world responds to them, including the person with whom they choose to share their life. Genuine strength is not loud or boisterous. It is not aggressive or controlling. True strength is the quiet, unwavering discipline of refusing to negotiate one's core values or compromise one's self-worth simply to keep someone close. It is the unshakable clarity to declare, "This is who I am, these are my principles, and this is the line that must not be crossed." When one lives with this profound level of self-respect and consistency, a partner does not feel limited or constrained by them. On the contrary, they feel a deeper sense of security and safety, precisely because they instinctively know that one will not crumble under pressure and will not fundamentally reshape their identity to accommodate fleeting emotional whims. Before concluding this reflection, take a moment to identify one specific area where you know you have been faltering. Pinpoint one pattern you have been tolerating, one situation where you have allowed yourself to diminish, and make a resolute decision. Let it not be loud or dramatic, but profoundly final. The kind of decision an individual makes when they are unequivocally done abandoning themselves and their true potential. Because when you begin to consistently protect and uphold your own standards, you don't lose valuable relationships. What you effectively lose is chaos, instability, and disrespect. And the right partner, the one truly aligned with your essence, will meet you at the elevated level you consistently hold, never at the lower level to which you might momentarily fall. If these insights have resonated with you and offered a new perspective, take a moment to engage, like, share, and subscribe as a tangible reminder to yourself of your unwavering commitment to becoming a stronger, more disciplined, and more self-respecting individual than you were yesterday. Reflect deeply on which of these profound truths resonated most powerfully with you today.